Hi friends, I hope everyone's doing well. I'm back with chapter 4 of Socks. And if you remember from yesterday's chapter, Mrs. Bricker is putting Socks on a diet and telling him that he can't eat as much as he used to. And they stopped giving him the formula leftovers that Socks loved so much. So chapter 4 is called The Evening the Sitter Came. Mr. Bricker sang while he changed Charles William's diaper. Mrs. Bricker hummed while she folded diapers. Life was easier for the young parents. Charles William, who now ate egg yolk, vegetables, and strained meat, could sleep through the night without a bottle at 2 o'clock in the morning. Socks, not so fortunate, still woke up at 2 o'clock expecting formula to be poured into his bowl. He felt cheated by the diet meals that his owners served him. After his small, nutritious breakfast, he was allowed to sit beside the refrigerator all day without an offer of a bite to eat. He waited for food to be left on the counter so he could steal it, but his owners were too smart for him. Socks was reduced to catching and eating moths. The Brickers not only refused to give Socks all he wanted to eat, they insisted that he exercise. Mr. Bricker tied a wad of cellophane to the end of a string and dragged it around the carpet for Socks to chase. "Come on, cat," he said. "You still have some fat to work off." After a few turns around the room, Socks, breathing heavily, found lying down easier than playing. The empty feeling in his middle sharpened Socks's hunting instincts. He stalked Mrs. Bricker's furry bedroom slippers until she caught him and shut them away in the closet. He crouched, wiggled his rump, and pounced on a brown corduroy bear when Charles William shoved it out of his crib. He carried it around in his mouth until Charles William set up such a howl that Mrs. Bricker rescued the bear and returned it to his owner. "Bad Socks," scolded Mrs. Bricker. "You leave Brown Bear alone." Socks gave her a cold look. Couldn't she see he was not bad? He was just hungry. Late afternoons were hardest for Socks, for then Mrs. Bricker sat on the couch holding Charles Williams, draped in a diaper to catch spills, and spooned cereal, strained meat, vegetables, and applesauce from custard cups into his messy mouth. "See the kitty?" she said, as Socks watched hungrily. "See the fat kitty?" The fat kitty did not care about cereal, vegetables, and applesauce, but he resented the baby getting the meat. However, he knew how to get even. He walked to the front door and meowed. Socks now had Mrs. Bricker at a disadvantage. Both her hands and her lap were occupied, and she did not know whether her cat merely wanted to go out or whether he needed to. Socks meowed a second time. "Oh, Socks," said Mrs. Bricker with a sigh, "do you have to?" Socks meowed a third time, and as he knew she would, Mrs. Bricker set the custard cup that she was holding on the coffee table, carried Charles William, who fussed at the interruption, across the room, and opened the door. "Socks, we love you," she said, "but you are getting to be a nuisance, a big fat nuisance." When Socks took his time walking through the door, she gave his tail a little push with her toe and shut the door behind him. Socks was determined to satisfy the empty feeling in his stomach. He leaped the fence and meowed pitifully at the neighbor's back door, because the back door was closer than the refrigerator. When the elderly woman who lived there opened the door, Socks lifted his nose and breathed in the fragrance of stew simmering on the stove. Mrs. Bricker had not cooked anything that smelled this good since Charles William had arrived. "Now, Socks, you old fraud, don't you come begging around here." The neighbor was kind, but she meant what she said. You can't tell me you haven't had anything to eat, because I know better. As she spoke, she tossed a handful of peanuts onto the grass for the blue jays that came swooping down from the television. Socks hated jays, noisy, yammering birds that dived at him every chance they got. While the jays were busy picking up the peanuts and storing them under the shingles of the Brickers' roof, Socks sneaked across his own yard to the house on the other side. Unfortunately, Tiffy opened the door to his meow, but Socks took a chance and rubbed against her legs. Charm was often very helpful. "Mommy, Socks likes me," shrieked Tiffy. "Lucky you," answered her mother from the other room. Socks tactfully led the way to the refrigerator. And you can see there's Tiffy with Socks rubbing against her. He's hoping for a snack. "Mommy, Socks is hungry," Tiffy called out. "Don't let that cat kid you," her mother called back. "Can I feed him?" "Sure, go ahead," said Tiffy's mother. Juices ran in Socks' mouth as Tiffy pulled open the white door. She took out a plastic pitcher, poured something into a cup, and set it on the floor. "There you are, Socksy," she said tenderly. "Nice Hawaiian punch." One whiff was enough. Socks gave Tiffy a look of reproach. How could she disappoint him like this? Couldn't she see? Tiffy squatted beside him. "Try it, Socksy. You'll like it," she coaxed. "How do you know you won't like it if you don't try it?" Socks's answer was a long look at the refrigerator. Tiffy got the idea. This time she offered him leftover chocolate pudding, which was also disdained. Obviously, this household had nothing fit for a cat to eat. He walked to the back door and asked to go out. These people were not worth bothering with. Tiffy, eager to do something to please the cat, opened the door. "Bye, Socksy," she said in a voice sad with disappointment. Socks walked out with his tail up in the air and quirked at the top like a question mark. So I'm going to stop there for today, and Socks continues to try and find a snack that he likes. So you got to wonder at this point if Socks is really having a hard time with this diet or if he's just really hungry and wanting food. So we'll have to read on, and I think at the end of next chapter, or this chapter, we're going to meet the babysitter, and we'll see what kind of tricks Socks is planning for the sitter. So keep up your great drawings and following along with the story. I'm proud of you all. I'm seeing a lot of hard work that you're doing, and I'll be back on Monday with the rest of this chapter. So enjoy your weekend, friends. Take care. Bye-bye.